It's Christmas time, the mood is right, spirits are up, and Michigan's roads have turned into a skating rink. Anyway, most people have their merry sights set on CPKC's Holiday Train and the North Pole Express. But we mustn't forget about another festive train that weaves through mountains older than trees. For 82 years, CSX's Santa Train has paraded around America's Appalachian region delivering toys, candy, and winter gear to thousands of families who can also see jolly old St. Nicholas himself. But how did this tradition get started? Well, we gotta go all the way back to 1943 when the United States was in a very different state of mind. Paranoia surrounding World War II was on the minds of many, and despite being a coal-driven powerhouse, the impoverished Appalachia faced its own economic hardships as many left the region to find better opportunities in more industrialized and urban centers. Members of the Kingsport Merchants Association looked to uplift the spirits of their fellow citizens, especially the children, and show appreciation for people shopping at their stores. The Tennesseans decided to partner with the Clinchfield Railroad and put together a special train known as the Santa Claus Special. The Clinchfield was a regional household name, with many people taking the train from the rural coal fields to Kingsport shopping centers, namely around Christmastime. On November 27, 1943, passenger train number 38 was running as normal. However, between Elkhorn City, Kentucky and Kingsport, Tennessee, the Merchants Association, local news outlets, and volunteers joined Santa Claus in a Clinchfield business car. As the train rolled south, Santa and his helpers would smile and wave, tossing out candy from the rear deck. It proved to be a great success, with crowds of eager families lining up trackside to collect Santa's treats and talk to him at station stops. There were ear-to-ear smiles all around, and it was a positive boost to morale. The Clinchfield decided to make this an annual event, with goodies now including soft toys, books, and clothes. Thus, a new tradition was added to the calendars of Appalachians. By the 1950s, American morale was at an all-time high and automobile travel was increasing exponentially. But this ultimately plagued passenger trains with a case of decreasing ridership. As a result, the Clinchfield canceled passenger service altogether in 1954. But with their good heart, they weren't about to give up on the Santa Claus Special. The train became its own excursion service, now featuring gray and yellow painted diesel power. General Manager Tom Moore initiated quite the shakeup in its consist. Behind the railroad's Irwin shops was an old 10-wheeler steam locomotive. It was built in 1882 for the Columbus, Chicago, and Indiana Central Railway and swapped owners a few times until ending up in the hands of the Clinchfield in 1955. Tom Moore had the engine restored, and the Santa Claus Special of 1968 had Clinchfield No. 1 as power, featuring a fresh coat of paint and gleaming brass fittings. Known as One Spot, Great Grandpa was equipped with MU cables and got some help from diesel power because, quite frankly, it wasn't built to haul more than 2 heavyweight coaches on its own, but nonetheless, the inclusion of a steam locomotive brought more nationwide attention to the train. Unfortunately, No. 1 suffered a cracked frame and retired from excursion service in 1979, with diesels once again taking over. The train really captured the spotlight thanks to an article in the New York Times, along with a 1982 feature on CBS Evening News' On the Road segment.
If you're having a little trouble getting into the Christmas spirit this year, this might do it. It did it for us. The glimpse of a child's face from a moving train. And then another, awed and expectant.
Donations of money, candy, toys, and new clothes came flooding in as a result. Meanwhile, railroads were merging at an increasingly rapid rate, and the Clinchfield became part of the Seaboard system in 1983, renamed to CSX Transportation 3 years later. Corporate shakeups weren't enough to halt Santa's train, and as a matter of fact, it only continued to grow in popularity. To celebrate the train's 50th anniversary, Union Pacific Challenger No. 3985 visited from Wyoming to power the excursion. Masquerading as a Clinchfield Challenger, it weaved through Appalachia's ancient mountains, with droves of people following it on foot, chasing in cars, and lined up trackside for this historic, once-in-a-lifetime locomotive visit. In the following years, CSX kept Santa and his helpers on track to spread Christmas cheer and generosity, and with the increased accessibility of the internet, the train has received an ever-increasing amount of exposure and support. While the world continued to evolve, one constant was people lining up trackside and hiking through stick seas and woods to see Santa and get the best shot of his train. Eventually, 2020 revealed its unexpectedly ugly head, and the COVID-19 pandemic forced CSX to replace the train with a drive-through service in 2020 and 21. Continued supply chain issues and employee shortages in 22 prolonged the cancellation, and many wondered if this was truly the end. But newly appointed CSX CEO, Joseph Hinrichs, wondered what it would take to bring the train back. After coordinating with labor union groups, a huge amount of community support, and positive growth and recovery efforts, the train came back to life with only a few months of planning. For reference, it usually takes nearly a year's worth of preparation. Everyone was ecstatic upon the train's return, knowing a multi-generational tradition weathered one of the toughest times in human history. This train means a lot to so many people.
I have came my whole life, and now I love, experience it with my girls.
It is something I'll always treasure.
It's hard to describe that. You see so much joy and so much thanks from both the parents and the children. So I think that's what really just makes a stop like this so rewarding.
In its current iteration, the train originates in Shelby, Kentucky and runs south to Kingsport, Tennessee, where Santa disembarks to take part in a Christmas parade. It stops along the way to distribute several tons of goodies ranging from food and candy, toys, blankets, winter clothing, books, school supplies, wrapping paper, and other handmade gifts. The Kingsport Chamber of Commerce also awards a high schooler with a 4-year, $5,000 scholarship during the festivities. A variety of CSX power has been in charge of the train over the years, with notable examples including a Clinchfield-inspired SD40-3, Clinchfield F7, Clinchfield SD45, CSX F40PHs, and most recently, CSX's Clinchfield Heritage Unit. On board, there's also been a number of country music stars and dignitaries reiterating the holiday spirit and lending a hand with gift giving. Regardless of whatever locomotive is at the lead or which celebrity is on board, it's the passion and love behind the event that matters. All of this is possible thanks to an army of volunteers and sponsors who work throughout the whole day to put smiles on the faces of many. There's a sense of community and camaraderie that comes with something like this. Everyone's working together for a great cause, and everyone's coming together to take part in a multi-generational tradition that leaves no kid empty-handed. Grandparents who remember seeing Santa on the train back in the 50s and 60s are now joining their starry-eyed grandkids trackside. Trains have been intertwined with Christmas for over a century, whether it be reconnecting with family members, a model train under a festive tree, or nostalgia for another era when trains ruled the transportation world. In a corner of the country that's often given the cold shoulder, a little optimism and kindness goes a long way, especially in the wake of something like 2024's Hurricane Helene. To support those in need, CSX ran the brand new Holiday Express to Irwin, Tennessee, featuring a decorated train, hot drinks, food, gift bags, a visit from Santa, and a live musical performance by Drew Holcomb. While the Santa Train is all about giving back to the community, there is something important to remember.
People think that the train is these poor hillbillies. We've got, this is their only Christmas. This is all they get. But that's not true. And that's not why the train was started.
One of my favorite quotes comes from a song known as The End by the Beatles. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. Generosity rarely goes unnoticed or unappreciated, and whatever love or appreciation you give will surely be returned back to you. CSX's Santa Train has been spreading positivity, generosity, and Christmas cheer for 82 years now, with hopefully many more coming down the line. Thank you to my channel members. Special thanks to Mooter, Tommy Rosini, Grand Canyon Studios, Amtrak Fan 19, Gojira's Trains, The Winnipeg Railfan, Jacko Beans, Puncake, Jackboy317, and Trains Railfan Gaming 1066 for subscribing to the Conductor tier. Your extra support always helps me out a lot. To close things out, I'd just like to say Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and thank you for another fantastic year on YouTube. I've said it a million times before, but I'll never really stop saying it, but I really do appreciate your continued patience and support. As you know, I've been trying to take more breaks for my own mental health, and it has been helping a lot, so I'm going to try and stick with that and just keep making videos for really, as long as I find it fun. Anyway, hope you have a happy holiday season with whoever you celebrate it with. Have a happy new year, and I'll see you in another video.